What's going on, guys? Tom from the Football Boots team, and today we're taking a look at the best boots on the market for those of you at home that have wide feet. Now, if you've watched this channel for any sort of time, you guys will know that I myself have wide feet. So this is a list of boots that I'd be looking at if I was on the market to purchase a new pair. So we'll get into it and we'll start at boot number one. Alright, so first boot we're going to take a look at is a Puma boot, and we're looking at the Puma Future 6.1s. Now these boots, in my opinion, are one of the most underrated boots on the market. Their upper is actually incredibly soft and supple for a synthetic upper. I'm a big fan, sticky toe as well, and the last is relatively wide. Me with wide feet, I fit in these pretty comfortably. I think they definitely get overlooked by a lot of people, so if you have a chance to try a pair of these on feet, definitely do so. That is my recommendation. That's our first boot and the best boots for wide feet. So we're going to put that down to the side and we're going to get on to boot number two. Boot number two now, and we're taking a look in a Nike box. We're looking at the Nike Phantom GTS. Now these surprisingly are relatively wide for a synthetic boot. They're made off the old school Hypervenom last, so it's a bit of a wider last. If you had a pair of those, you'll understand how wide they were. Now the thing about these is I found it actually fit half a size long. So I managed to go half a size down and still fit in width-wise when I got my pair of Phantom GTs. Again, I'm a big fan of a boot. I'm not normally a synthetic upper type of guy. I normally stick to my leathers, but this upper is very soft, and with those grippy elements, you can really catch hold of the ball when you're striking it. So these make it in as well. Now, next up, we won't go another Puma, we'll go straight into a New Balance. And inside this box, we've got the brand new Balance Cali. So now, taking a look at these, they've always been a bit of a wider fitting boot in general. They've gone for the first laceless variation of them in this model, and I don't mind them. Again, a grippy upper with a texture on there is a common theme, as you've seen across the different brands, for a knitted boot to have those sort of elements in them now. But for wide fitting players, even with the laceless option, these are still a good go-to, and they're definitely, again, another brand that sort of misses the limelight a bit against the Addies and the Nikes. So it's definitely a boot worth trying if you can get your feet into those. We're going to carry on and we'll go back to Puma. Now we're looking in here at a Puma King box, and these right here aren't the old school Puma Kings, which are incredibly wide if you need a really wide pair of boots, but it is the Puma King Platinums. Now this is the newest variation of the Puma King. Now, I'll tell you this, they don't start wide. They're relatively narrow to begin with, but I've had a pair and I've worn them in, and the leather, the K-leather of the upper is so soft that over just a few wears, I was able to stretch them out and they accommodate my foot. Only thing with this is my foot isn't completely sitting on the sole plate. Obviously you have a little bit of overhang on the little toe, so they can be good for wide-footed players, but they're not going to be straight out of the box. So that is one thing to be mindful when you're looking at the Puma King Platinums. Next up, we'll go to my favorite football boot brand. They just do it higher quality than anybody else. And we're taking a look at the Mizuno Regular. Now, taking a look at these, premium K-leather upper, handmade in Japan. Like I said, the quality of the product when you're getting Mizuno, there's no doubt about it. It is as good as it gets. It is worth that premium price point. But the Regular is definitely their widest model. They've obviously also got the Morelia Neo Beta 3s out now, but they're a very narrow, lightweight fitting boot. So if you've got wide feet but you want a Mizuno, then Regular is the way to go. Also, you can take a look at like the Wave Cups and boots like that, the Runbirds, which were released recently. They're also good options, but again, leather is always one of your best bets if you've got wide feet, because it will stretch to accommodate. Now, next up, we'll go back to New Balance. And now we're taking a look at the other New Balance model on the market, the Furon. Now this is our first sort of speed boot, which is actually relatively wide. Again, I'm not going to say it's the widest boot in the list. There's definitely wider options here, but if you're looking for a speed boot that's got a bit of width to it, then this is definitely one of the best on the market. A lot better than, say, the Mercurial or the X. These just have a little bit more give and a little bit more accommodating through that forefoot especially, so they are a good option if you're looking for a speed orientated boot but with a bit of width to them. Next up, we'll go straight back to Nike. Now, taking a look in this box here is one that I assume most of you at home would have expected to be on this list, and we're taking a look at the Tiempos. So the Tiempos, it's not as wide fitting as older Tiempo models because they were always straight leather to foot, so they stretched heaps. To accommodate that, Nike said that it was almost stretching too much for some people, so they've put a mesh fly knit bootie inside this, which then stops it from overstretching. It still allows that foot to fit in it, of course, and does have a bit of give to it, but it's not going to overstretch like previous Tiempo models may have. Definitely a great option for wide feet. Like I said, once again, leather is always your best bet. So we'll add those to the pile. Now we've only got a few boots left. I'm going to go Adidas down to the side because I know the boot that is in these two boxes is actually the same boot, just different variations. So obviously right here we have the Paul Pogba Season 7s and that Predator 20 Plus model. Again, pretty good for wide feet. It is a synthetic upper, so it doesn't have the give that a leather will. But then my best bet, if you're looking for a Predator and you have wide feet and that is a big problem for you, my recommendation is going to be going for the low cuts. Low cut 0.1s, because this way the collar doesn't get in the way of egging your feet in the boot. It's a little bit less constrictive and it just allows the boot to open up a bit more. But also once you've got the laces, you're able to customize the fit of the boot, which is something you can't do with the Predator 20 Pluses. Unfortunately, once you get those, all you can hope to do is stretch out that prime knit collar area. Whereas with the 0.1s, with the laces, you can really loosen them off to allow as much of your foot to fit inside the boot as possible. So wide-footed people, if you're looking for a Predator, if that's the boot you want, I would always recommend at least getting the laced, even better if you get the low cuts as well. Now, second to last, I'm not going to touch this one because I know what's in there, but we'll go for a Puma boot. And now this one might catch a few of you off guard. It is something new that has only been released very recently, and we're taking a look at the brand new silo, the Puma Ultras, but we're looking at them in the leather variation. Now, the Puma Ultras in the synthetic variation are a bit like the Furon. They're relatively wide, especially for a speed boot, but it's a very unforgiving upper on those ones. So the leather variation just takes that away. It has the give in that forefoot for you wider footed players. And again, it is one of those boots that if you're looking for a speed boot but you're a wider footed player, you might struggle to find it, but the Puma Ultras is definitely one of your best bets in that regard. Now the last pair of boots, this one should be well known to everybody out there. It is the absolute staple of a football boot. I say regularly, if you haven't owned a pair of these, you haven't played football. It's the Coppermundials. Now the Coppermundials have the softest leather and obviously that age-old construction, so there is optimal stretch through that wide foot, and it just has a wider sole plate in general as well, and a softer sole plate with those conical studs. So if you have the widest foot out there, this is probably going to be your best bet. This or a Puma King, and it has always been your best bet and probably will, because none of these boots just quite get as wide as a Copper will. It will stretch and stretch and stretch to accommodate exactly what you need out of a football boot. So this is my last suggestion. If you've struggled, you've tried on all these pairs in front of me, none of them have worked, then mate, your last choice is a Coppermundial. But that's it for today's video. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope this helped you wide-footed players out there like myself. It is never easy to find boots at the best of the times, but this should hopefully help you narrow down your selection. Like I said, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you in the next one.